starting. This is Breaking the Dam, and I'm all blurry. Let me try fixing my camera. Just didn't. There we go. It's a little better. We are going to be talking with Zesty Bestie. So this is Zesty Bestie. Please follow him if you
I
can. He is a creator, a content creator, and he does a lot of different content, but he also talks about his addictions and journey through addictions recovery. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Welcome, Zesty.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming. It's really good to have this opportunity to speak to someone who is open about talking about their journey because so many people struggle with addictions and mental
Yes,
health
absolutely.
and there's so much stigma around that for a lot of people.
Absolutely. Yes, for sure it is.
Yeah. So let's just I'll just give kind of the go. If you guys can tapping is clapping. Please give Sasti and in our panel when we have one later because everybody does put in some emotional work and it's really lovely to get those gifts. Please share this live with anybody who you think might be interested in watching. That helps get us out there and tap the screen. Tapping is clapping. It really what it does the tapping of the screen really helps generate how often this live shows up in people's feeds. So it helps get it out to more people, which is really what we want. Thank you very
Okay.
much. Yeah, and we'll get started. So, Zesty, can you tell us when? Let maybe start from the beginning of the story. When did the addictions start for you?
Okay, so I just try to think back of like when I actually can remember like even having an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Um so when I think back to my childhood, I just get taken straight to obviously my teenage years is really when my addiction did begin.
Yeah.
Um I always knew that I was different from a very young age.
Yeah.
I grew up very religious, so um, to be different in like a rural community in Newfoundland,
Oh.
if you're any bit different, you're ostracized in general. You know what I mean? So I was like I obviously I am gay, but I wasn't out obviously at the time. I was a kid. I didn't even really know who I was as a person. So
Yeah.
I tried to do what I could to like survive. And by that I mean I was bullied a lot to the point where I did want to take my own life.
Oh, wow.
Um,
And
and
it's so
it
common in the LGBTQ community too. Like the
well,
risk of suicide is or unaliving is so
a-
high.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think that's where I can remember the shift in my own self, like actually changing.
Mm-hmm.
I was always interested in music and choir and dancing and acting and singing and you know all these things that actually did bring me joy.
Yes.
Um, but I used to get bullied relentlessly to the point where, like I said, I didn't want to live anymore. And I'm like, okay, what
Mm-hmm.
can I do? What can I do in order to make this stop? Like, how can I go back to school and, you know, enjoy my life or just, you know, have these people tolerate me? And I'm
Right.
like, okay, I know what I'm going to do. I was like, I'm going to do what they're doing, but I'm going to do it way better. So, like, that's when I stopped doing all the things that I actually enjoyed.
Okay.
Um, I guess I started to hang around with the crowd that did make fun of me. I wanted them to accept me. And I
Yeah.
think that's really, we'll get into this a bit later, but that's really what my addiction, everything, my trauma stems from acceptance. And
Yeah.
I never did feel accepted as a child in my own home, but I also
Okay.
didn't feel accepted from my peers, and I was bullied a lot for that. So I did what they were doing, and that was
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if we could say the words, but like, you know, I got into like substances at
Yep.
a very young age.
Yep.
Um, and you would find me at like a basement rave or you know all these different types of parties. You know, I did what everyone else was doing, and these people, they tolerated me. You know,
Yeah.
they didn't so much as, you know, weren't my best friend, but I got introduced to a whole different bunch of people. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's that's really how I can think of it actually beginning because um I was probably 16, 17, and then obviously, you know, you get older. I see my peers go off to university and college, and yeah, I could just remember watching everybody, you know. start their lives. And I didn't realize I had an addictive personality to begin with, but
Yeah.
I really did. And yeah, it just took me down this dark road that I could not get off of. And it just opened up doors to so many other different things, so many
Yeah.
different places and people. And it wasn't anything positive, I tell you that much.
It was a
You know,
kind of a form of acceptance, but not an acceptance of who you really are. Just
well,
like you
yeah,
either
I
tolerate or yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
and you deserve to
I
be more than tolerated, right? But
yes, well, exactly. And I didn't even really know who I was as a person. So it's like
yeah.
uh I did try to change everything about me to kind of fit this mold, of what I thought
Hmm.
at the time was what people wanted me to be or how they
Yeah.
would accept me. And at the end of the day, like I said, I just wanted to live. I just wanted to survive. So that's the only way that I knew at the time. It's like I don't think I like mentally I didn't have like the coping skills to be going through what I was going through in my own personal life at home from my own like abuse, my own trauma. And then I was like, okay, this is kind of like the cards that I've been given in life. So it's like that's the
Right.
only thing I kind of knew what to do was my dad was an alcoholic. So I think maybe like I seen it from him at a very young age. So it was always normalized for me to be around like alcohol and substances in general. But um,
And to use them as potentially as a coping mechanism,
absolutely,
because that's
yeah, for sure.
what was shown to you. That's what your dad
Well,
did, right?
yeah, and now that
Had a
I
rough day,
look
have
back.
a beer, like that kind of.
Yeah, definitely. I look back on it now, I think it's like, well, it was always around me. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Even though I grew up really religiously, like my mom, we grew up in the church. So I went to church 3 times a Sunday, like 5 days a week. So
Yeah.
it's like, it was like two different worlds where it's like we lived this life of being very religious and we were, and I'm so glad that I grew up that type of way. But at the same time, I had an alcoholic father who was
Yeah.
no part in that. So it's like I kind of live both lives, you know?
Yeah. And did you have to caretake for him a lot?
Pardon me?
Did you have to caretake for your dad a lot?
Yeah, I do remember like some of my earliest childhood memories are of me and my sisters actually taking my dad. He used to drive a trike, if you remember what the three wheelers are, and we had
Hmm.
to like drag him and carry him from like we had a big huge long driveway, so we would carry him up at like I don't know, like 4 5 6 years old. And like yeah, so it's like we dealt with that as kids. So um we did have to take care of him, mainly my sister. Actually, I didn't really, me and my dad did not get along. I think
Yeah.
he expected a lot of me as his firstborn son. And
Okay.
he was a fisherman, so I think like low key he wanted me to be that son that would like eventually take over for him or take
Yeah.
over his fishing license, like learn how to garden and do all these
Yeah.
things that I could not be
Was it you?
any further. Wasn't me, no. So I think he knew from a very young age that I was never going to live up to his expectations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I did deal with him from a very young age, but I didn't really take care of him as much as my sisters did for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's very common for the children, or at least one of the children, to take on that caregiver role when a parent is has
Yeah,
addictions. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, and it's weird because it's like as kids, it's you think that everyone's lives are like yours, you know what I mean? Until you
Hmm.
go to someone else's house and you're like, oh, okay, it's like this is weird. How come, uh this is not going on at their house? So it's like
Right.
um there is a lot of shame and kind of guilt that comes along with having like an alcoholic parent.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it like once you realize that it's not normal, like my husband had addictions issues as well.
Right.
Um, and the kids that you can't have people over, you know what I mean? Like because you just don't know what's going to happen. There's that
Yeah.
unpredictability around someone who drinks,
Yeah, for
where
sure.
are they going to embarrass me, in some
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, my dad was never really accepting of me, but he used to like pick on me a lot, and like single me out, from my siblings. Like he would always give them money and not give me any, but he would always single me out and just so that also fed into like this narrative that like I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough. And I've done enough like inner work and healing and been to rehab like 4 different times. So I try to figure out why I am the way I am, or why I've done the things that I've done, or why I went to addiction in the first place. And it really does feed into like this narrative, like I said, that I was never worthy of love or acceptance, and
Yeah.
that all stems from your childhood. You know what I mean? It's like, you
Trauma.
know, yeah, absolutely. And my dad is showing me like that he's not caring for me, or that he doesn't like me, or that I'm not good enough. And yeah,
Hmm.
I carry that into my adulthood for sure. It definitely, played a big part, a big role. Uh, it shaped who I became as a person for sure. I I actually I wrote my dad a letter at Christmas time, and I just really had to get things off my chest because I didn't want him to pass away, and for me not to let him know how his actions affected me and the rest, like the trajectory of my life,
Hmm.
basically. Um, and not like I basically had to teach myself how to do everything. Um,
Yeah.
and it's sad, you look back that you never really had the childhood that you deserved, and now it's unfortunate because I really do have um, difficulty with men in general. So it's like I work in the oil and gas industry as a chef, and I'm dealing with like a lot of like straight heterosexual men all the time,
Yeah.
and I find it really hard to like deal with them and talk with them on like just a human level, because like I'm kind of, what's the word, like, yeah, I do have trauma from my past, and I that all stems from my dad, I think. So there's a lot more healing that I need to do, and a lot more therapy that I need to do myself. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a work in progress for sure.
We all are though, and that's the thing that
Yeah.
we have to remember. Our whole life is a work in progress, right? Like we're always learning more about ourselves and becoming hopefully better people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's just I need to kind of forgive myself for the things that have happened to me, and I can't blame myself for the way that my dad treated me, or the
Hmm.
way that my mom treated me. It's like
Exactly.
I can't do that to myself.
Yeah, no, and you shouldn't. And it's not your fault that any of that happened. Like we have, sounds like you had quite a few traumas and some challenges with your dad through growing up. How, if you don't mind me asking, when did you come out to him, and how it was he? Was he
Well,
accepting
I
at
actually
least?
didn't. My mom and dad actually divorced when I was, I think, maybe 14 or 15.
Hmm.
So I never really had a relationship with my dad. We never really talked much.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be around him, and he didn't want to be around me. So, and I was fine with that. Like I was
Yeah.
okay with the way it was, and I was actually kind of relieved when my mom and dad divorced, because like there was no more fighting, like there was no more yelling and screaming and that type of thing. But at the same time, it's like my mom and we never really had the best relationship either. So um, I think I called my sisters when I
Hmm.
came out as gay. I think maybe my mom heard through my sisters, if I'm not mistaken, but
Hmm.
my mom didn't talk to me, I think, for over a year. So
Oh,
uh,
wow.
yes. Oh, that again just fed into like this, like there's something wrong with me. My mom doesn't accept me for who I truly am. So like,
Yeah.
why would I even open up to her in the first place?
Exactly.
Uh, you know what I mean? So,
She doesn't sound
um,
like she was a safe person to really have. Like if she
no,
blocked you for a year, like that's I really, as a parent, I don't understand how parents
yeah,
do that.
I could say that my mom has come like 360 since then,
Good.
obviously. And
Yeah.
yeah, she's definitely, I think maybe like she's obviously grown as a person as well. I try to put myself in her shoes and like, try to understand where she's coming from. Uh, at the same time, it's like I never really did have a safe space to talk about my feelings in general, whether that be with my dad or my mom. Obviously, my siblings, I felt like closer to. Obviously, my siblings have always been like a big support system. I live with my sister right now. I've lived with my
Hmm.
other sister years before. So Yeah, it's been a blessing to have the siblings that I have in my life because I don't
So
know
they've
where
been a
if
good
I don't
support.
well, I don't know where I don't know where I would have been if it wasn't for them. Like I
Yeah.
seriously don't think I would have made it even through my sobriety journey, through my addiction, if it wasn't for them because they've saved me and housed me and took me in when I had nowhere to go. So yeah, I'm really lucky to have the sisters that I have for sure.
And they've always been a great support from the beginning for you. That is
Absolutely.
awesome.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any contact with your father now or no?
I don't really have any contact with him.
Hmm.
I think
Sometimes that's the safest choice.
I do have him on Facebook, but I think he's really like he's not like mentally well. He was an alcoholic for like his whole entire life. So I think he got sick like a few years back and he went septic. I think he had a hole in his bowel or something. And ever since then he had a caretaker, then he went to like several homes. But his brain has just not been the same. I guess, you
Yeah.
know, you are
And let
in
me tell you quickly, just my husband who had addictions issues
yeah,
passed away from cirrhosis of the liver, and it had caused brain damage
yeah.
because when his liver started not functioning, the alcohol starts damaging, especially the prefrontal cortex, and can cause something like dementia in people.
Yeah, uh, okay,
I
so
don't
what does
even
this
know.
say?
Oh, we got restricted.
What does that mean?
It says your live contains themes that some may find uncomfortable. How about bring you back in? How does that sound? We'll
Okay.
disconnect and I'll invite you right back and we'll see. It might be something, I don't think it's yours. Honestly, I think it's my chat. Some of the people are getting pretty, there's a couple of not so nice people in chat. So let's disconnect and I'm going
Okay.
to re-invite you. Okay.
Sure.
Or we'll invite you up on the panel. Maybe that might, we'll try co-host first. Give me a minute. Okay, and I'm going to bring Zesty back. And guys in chat, please be nice here. We're trying to have a guest, and I will remove you from chat if this continues, if I'm getting warnings because of what's going on in chat, okay? So let's get a co-host back. Invite. Hmm. Okay, let's try it this way. So I'm still getting that message. How would you feel about just coming on as a guest on the
Yeah,
panel?
I could do that. I will just
Okay. I don't know why it's saying that. I have because your content is fine, but
yeah.
for some reason it wants to flag the word. So we'll try again. I'll disconnect and just come into the live. And do you know how to
So,
request up?
so do I just get out of my live altogether and just go into yours? Is that how it works?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So sorry,
That's
but
okay.
you'll start cutting people out. So
Are you on
yeah,
do you have your chat as 18 plus?
I do.
You
I
do?
always
Okay.
do. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. I will disconnect and then I will try to
Come
go
back
find
in.
you.
Yeah, just go to Beaver Politics Live, and when I see you, I'll invite you in.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thank you. So
Yeah,
sorry. I
you're
don't
welcome.
know. Somebody must have reported something.
Okay.
Okay, so I just gotta bump ya right there. Um, block mute, add moderator. No. So you just need to leave, like close your chat or close your live. Okay, so we're just gonna wait for Zesty to get back in here. Somebody obviously reported Zesty. That was very unnice. They were having a really good conversation with us and they monitor your, I know they monitor. Cirrhosis might have triggered. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a bad word. Um, oh, there's Zesty. So let me invite you and see, we'll see if this works. No, there we go. There we go. I've sent them a multi-guest invite
I've said
and there we go. You are back, Zesty, and I can make you
I'm back.
bigger. Just give me a second here. I've just got to expand your window. There we go. And I've just got to change the mock-up a little bit. Just give me a second. We got to go to multi-guest. Just be a second. So I'm so sorry to have to cut you off there. But go
That's okay.
ahead. Just going to settings and change layout. Oh, I can't change the layout because you've expanded. All of these technical difficulties. I've just got to put you back to shrink. And now I can change it. And settings, change layout. And we're going to do panel or grid. And we'll do um, 5.
Hi, everybody.
Save.
Thank you for following me over to
There
Beaver
we go.
Policy.
So yeah, thank you so much for following us. And now, like see you all here. So we'll have to be more careful. Apparently, the word that I used um, for liver damage due to drinking might have set it off. So it might have been me. I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't know that was a TikTok bad word. So
Me
I mean, it's
either.
just a condition. So I didn't think. But you got to watch. Yeah, we got to be careful of the language. But substances works. So go on. I can't remember where we were. I got distracted. We were talking about your dad and that you don't have much contact with him now.
Yeah, so like I said, I don't think he's doing that well, like mentally, and he did get kicked out of a few. It's not funny, I know, but if you knew my dad, you would probably laugh too. He did get kicked out of a few like old age homes, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
um I wrote him and I said what needed to be said, and I just let him know exactly how his actions affected me and the rest of my life, and that I really truly do hope that he finds happiness in this
Yep.
lifetime, and that all I want for anybody, honestly, is for them to find peace within themselves. And I hope that he can live with the decisions that, he has made. But um, then he'll just deflect. And then as I'm talking about something, he'll go and blame my mom for like things years ago. And I'm like, this is not about my mom. This is not about my brother. This is about you and I. So it's like, it's almost like he can't even have like a coherent conversation about him and I. And he'll
Yep.
just explain like how he did the best that he could, and I'm just thinking like it's going nowhere, so
Yep.
why am I even going to give him my energy? I told him exactly how I feel, exactly how his actions have affected me, what it is that, like, I can't expect to have a relationship with him now, and I've just accepted the fact that it is what it is, and I can't change who he is as a person. My only hope for him is that, before he leaves this earth, is that he will find happiness within himself, and he can look at himself and accept himself for who he is.
Exactly. And that's his journey to take. And yeah. And it's good that you realize that because we can't change people. Like I had that again with my
Yeah.
husband, and we could not change or get him better, right? Because
Yeah.
it wasn't us that had the problem. We had the problem because of his drinking, but trust me, I jumped through many a hoop trying to get him to get help and didn't get anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, but you saw what? So let's move back to addictions quickly. You saw that you need help. When was that? Like, when did you realize that you were dealing with a substance use issue?
So I actually, I first became like an addict. Can I say that
Mm-hmm.
word? Um,
I think so. As long as you don't mention the drug. Okay,
yeah,
it's a bad
okay.
word. The
Um,
substance.
someone says this is not a topic you can have on here. Is that I'm sorry for reading the comments, but it's just popping up, and I'm so used
Yeah,
to.
you can't. Yeah, what we just have to be really careful how we talk it. Isn't a convo you can have on
Sure.
here that we're
Okay.
sensitive to. So we're going to talk about. We're going to call it Coca-Cola or cola. Okay, we're gonna
You can
call
call it
the
cola
substance
for
cola,
sure. Drinking all the cola, definitely. I
the
was
liquid
a big,
substance.
yeah, sure. So I actually was a substance user before anything else.
Yep.
And that started like in my early teenage years, honestly. And I always knew it was an issue. But I tried to get sober for the better part of 10 years, I'm going to say. So
Mm-hmm.
the first time that I actually signed myself into a treatment facility was 2015. And
Yeah.
I did it because I wanted to go to culinary school, and I knew that if
Yeah.
I wanted to have any type of successful life, that I needed to obviously deal with my addiction and get sober. So that's exactly what I did. Was I successful in my attempt? Absolutely not. I wasn't, but I was in and out of um, like sobriety for the better part of 10 years. So I feel like I really lucked out in the sense that I do rotational work. So I
Yeah.
always worked 3 weeks on, 1 week off, 4 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So I would always get this sober time. But I would look forward to my days off because obviously it would be the time when I would, you know, drink and use and
Coca-Cola.
drink Coca-Cola, drink everything, yeah, underneath the sun. And yeah, it just really started to affect every aspect of my life.
Yeah.
My relationship, you know how it goes, relationships, finances,
Oh,
you name it.
finances. Yeah.
Um, but it wasn't really until I'm gonna say my last bender that I was on last year that really kind of like shook me to my core, I guess, so to speak. I've had many rock bottoms. Like I said, I've been into treatment facilities four separate times. Like if anyone knows what addiction is, it's me. I was the type of person that you would look at and be like, okay, I don't want to have anything to do with him, or I don't want my kids to be around him. You know,
Mm.
I was definitely not a safe space. I was not someone that you would want to spend your time with, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did live my life at like rock bottom, and I was in very high risk situations like 100% of the time. So like it was not uncommon for me to miss my flight in Paris and be sleeping next to a homeless man, or getting arrested twice in one day for robbing the liquor store. That was just another day
Oop,
for
watch the
me.
word.
Oh, sorry.
The L word.
Uh,
No, that's okay.
yeah,
Just
so
talk, you know.
this was just, yeah, it was just my life was chaos for like 100% of the time, all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's just how I lived every single day.
And when was there like a moment where you're just like, okay, I know I need to do something about this. Like obviously there was, and I'm just wondering what that looked like for
Yeah,
you.
so that actually was last June.
Hmm.
Um, I found myself in a different province.
Oh.
Um, I was hanging around with some really dangerous people
Hmm.
and doing some really dangerous things. And I had gotten beaten, and I was laying in a hospital bed, and I was basically like a shell of myself. And
Wow.
I just remember thinking like I'm gonna like here.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's either I this is my
Change
chance.
something.
I always knew within my soul that I was going to live a sober life. I just knew that for myself. I just didn't know when. I think I was just trying to milk that bender for as long as I could.
Yeah.
And it literally lasted like my benders usually were like a couple days, a week, maybe 2 weeks the max. This was three and a half
Just gonna cut
months.
in for a second, Sassy. Anti-progressive. If this is making you uncomfortable, you're free to leave. You've been complaining the whole time. Nobody is keeping you here. Yeah, exactly. It's not making you uncomfortable. You're just trolling. And if you continue to troll, I will mute you or block you from this particular conversation.
Well,
Anyway,
if you had the mods that I have, he would already be muted.
yeah, no,
You,
I've got
you
some
need
mods working on it, but I'm just, you know what, I'm going to mute you. So let's see here. Just give me a second. I'm going to mute you, so you may as well leave because you're just creating chaos where there doesn't need to be. You're not obviously not really interested. There we go. He's muted now. He's gone.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
So go on, Zesty.
I just choose to not interact with those types of people in my life in general. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not. He's just trying to stir trouble in the comments, and I don't even know why.
Yeah.
He's just bored. But so when was that? So it was when you're in the hospital after you'd been
Yeah, I was in a
assaulted.
hospital in a different province. And I was lying there and I'm thinking like I never gave myself enough time to even really get sober at the time. And
Yeah.
my sister had been reaching out to me for weeks, if not months, to get a hold of me. And like the people that was with at the time would say, like, it's your sister on the phone. And I said, like, I just pretended it didn't happen because I knew if I was to hear her voice or talk to her, it would trigger something in me and I would want to get sober and I'm like, okay, no, like I didn't want it to happen. But it took for someone else to literally like haul a knife on me, and I thought I was going to be like, right.
Yeah, like
And
yeah, in the big way.
this this person had like beaten me to the point where I was in the hospital, and I'm thinking, I'm like, I'm gonna end up here, or I need to change. And that was the point where it's like, okay, it's I was at a crossroads with myself, and I'm like, I have to change. I had to do something. I was like, this is my chance. So that was June 18th, 2024, and that was the last day that I had a drink of anything, any substance, uh, vaping, cigarettes. I didn't want anything to control my life anymore. And that is when I decided, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back uh, to rehab, to treatment for the fourth time. And I treated it like a school. I went in with my book bag and my exercise books, my new pencil case. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I can. I was hungry for knowledge. I was hungry to learn more about myself. But I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
wanted someone to fix me, is what I wanted. And I learned very quickly that nobody could fix me but myself. And that meant, like, digging deep into um, my childhood and really learning more about my core beliefs and
Yeah.
why I view myself this way, and why was it that I wanted to, escape and numb from like this life? Why did I always want to escape? So, and it just boiled down to uh, acceptance. That's what it's all about. I just want it to be accepted, and
Yeah, for
we
who you
talked about
are. Yeah.
for who I
Not
am. Yeah, exactly.
tolerated, but accepted.
Yeah,
There's a huge
accepted.
difference.
Yeah, for sure. So, and you know what? I learned that the acceptance all comes from me. I need to accept myself, and I don't think I've ever really did love myself or like really care enough about myself. Now I'm just at the point where I'm like, if you love yourself any bit at all, or if you have respect for yourself, you would never engage in that type of behavior in the first place. And
Yeah.
you would never do these types of things. You wouldn't put yourself through that if you actually did love yourself. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to take a good hard look at myself and say, what is it that I need to do in order to change, to love myself? And yeah,
Yeah.
again, it was just going back to the very beginning and forgiving my mom for the abuse, forgiving my dad, forgiving my bullies, forgiving myself, and learning to kind of grow from that. So yeah, I think that's why I started to make these videos in the first place. I started my own clothing brand called the
Mm-hmm.
Happier Brand, and that was a
Yeah.
way for me to be creative at the same time, but I wanted to kind of remove the stigma and remove the guilt and shame that comes with being sober, because I know a lot of people look at people who are sober and it's like, okay, well, they had a problem or they had an issue. And I just wanted to remove that altogether because I'm like, how lucky I am to actually be here. I have so many, my ex-boyfriend, are you allowed to say the S word here, the SUI word? He passed,
SUI. Oh,
he does.
oh no, no, unalive, self-unalived.
Yeah, well, exactly. And I had so many people around me, close to me, friends,
Oh,
relationships that haven't made it. So I feel like I have a purpose now to be a voice for those who don't have one. And
oh
I'm
wow.
sure there's so many people that have passed on that would love to have the opportunity that I have right now to still be here and to make a difference and to have purpose. So I wanted my sobriety to mean something for not only me, but for everybody who have passed away, who haven't made it, for the people who are still struggling. I want to be a voice for those that want to change, but right now aren't in the place to do it. And
Yeah,
yeah, I want my sobriety to mean something for not only me, but for everybody.
absolutely. And you're, you're breaking stigma by talking about it. And that's the thing, like if we don't have conversations about this, people feel like it's something they need to hide. Like
Yeah.
when my husband passed away, so many people were shocked that it was alcohol. Nobody had a clue
Yeah.
that he was very he was high functioning until he wasn't. Um, really, like he was high functioning for years until he just wasn't anymore, till it was just too much. And
Yeah, I find
luckily
a
you
lot.
caught it before then. Yeah,
Well, yeah, I find a lot of people do suffer in silence, but I was the type of person that you knew that I was suffering, you knew that I needed help. I have um a lot of people around me who were a great support system for so long,
yeah,
but you can't help anybody who don't want to help
be
themselves,
helped.
and it's not that I didn't want to help myself because I was trying to legit get sober for so long, but it's weird because it's like something kind of clicked in me that was like, you're not good, like you're not going to make it. You're not going to
Yeah.
make it. You need to change. And that's when I really did take it seriously and decided, okay, it's like I was basically fighting for my life, and I knew
Hmm.
that.
And when you went into, do you mind talking a little bit about what treatment is like?
Yeah, sure. What did you want to know?
I've never been in a treatment facility. So is it like what does one expect when they go in? Do you have your own room? Do you share? Is it a dorm style?
So everybody has their own room, and like, well, actually, the every treatment facility is different.
Yes.
The last one that I was in, I'm pretty sure that it was like uh, a youth correctionals like center before. So for troubled youth, I think it was almost like a jail.
Hmm.
So my pod actually was with 4 rooms, and there was one bathroom to share between 4 of us.
Yeah.
Um, I guess really they teach you about discipline and responsibility. Now, in saying that, the rehab that I was in was a lot different than ones I was in before. Some are very strict, some are more lenient.
Yeah.
I feel like we have more freedom than a lot of other treatment centers do for sure. But yeah, you wake up, you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner at the same times. You're allotted time for, I think, your cell phone for like maybe like an hour a day.
Okay.
Um, but there was
I
just
guess I
give me
really
one.
like that they cut the cell phone down. Like I know that must be really hard, but it's probably really therapeutic.
Yeah, it was. I actually, honestly, I don't think I felt so happy as I have before when I didn't have my phone. And it was really hard for the first little bit, but you get used to it after a while. And like I was sleeping a lot better. I didn't have such anxiety and I wasn't
Hmm.
obsessing about like, because it's like a habit that you just have your phone in your hand. So like
Yeah.
I'm constantly just checking for my phone just to touch it. You know what I mean? And just like scrolling and touching that type of thing. Um so yeah, we did
It's kind of
have
like our
our time.
pacifier, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's how
oh
I think of it.
definitely. Definitely
Yeah.
for sure. But every single day we had a different class for whether it be like nutrition, trauma, coping mechanisms, codependence. It was like it really did touch on different things that like we would have went through as as children through active
Yeah.
addiction.
Yeah.
Trying to like kind of rewire your brain in a sense. Um, Helping with like relapse prevention. Um, just things that you could coping mechanisms that you could use in like day-to-day life.
Yeah.
I could, I seen a lot of people there, and um, I did get to connect with a lot of instructors there, and it was for me, it was a really powerful, emotional experience. I'm so
Oh.
happy that I got the opportunity to go back for this fourth time because
Hmm.
it was a time that I was actually going there for myself. Every other time I
Exactly.
went through treatment, it was for a relationship. It was for my family. It was
Yeah.
for to help other people. Like I just didn't do it for anybody but me until this time. And I was solely there. I didn't care about any relationship, my family. It wasn't about anybody but me. I'm like, I need to learn how to live. I need
Yeah.
to learn how I could survive life on life's terms and be happy with who I am as an individual, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's when things really shifted for me. I remember being in a class and we were doing some type of exercise. I think the class was called uh, Beliefs and Values or Values and Beliefs.
Okay.
And the exercise was, if X, Y, and Z were to happen, what would you think? How would you feel? And I remember looking at some guy next to me. He was like the complete opposite of me, but we really did get along. He was like a hockey player. He was like
Oh,
that
cool.
jock type. Yeah, and he was one of the kindest people ever. Anyways, I read his comment, and his comment was like the exact same as mine was. And that
Yeah.
was that I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. And something in that moment actually just shifted for me, and I actually
Oops.
I had to
Oh,
take
I
a
did.
minute
Oops.
and step.
It's me doing that, and I don't know how.
I
So
had
don't mind me. Go ahead.
That's okay. Yeah, I had to take a minute and just like step outside the class, and my instructor and her and I had a really close bond, and I just looked at her and I started to break down and cry. I said, "Why do I feel this way? I can't live the rest of my life. I can't continue to go back to work or live life if I think that I'm not good enough or I'm not worthy. I'm I can't continue to live life like this. How can you
Hmm.
fix me? Can you help me? Can you make me feel better?" And she just basically pointed out like, where does this all stem from? And that's
Yeah.
when you really do that work of like, my core beliefs stem from my childhood, and it stems from the abuse, the neglect, that feeds into that I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, being physically abused, being sexually abused, being neglected by my dad, being bullied every single day of my life, not wanting to live. And that all just fed into not feeling like I was worthy to even be here.
Yeah. Yeah. And well, that good that you found that you caught onto that. And I'm just changing the layout here because what we're gonna
Yeah, no
do
worries.
is I'm gonna invite some guests. Oh, I'm up there to talk to us. Is that okay with you? If
Yeah,
we
go right
invite some
ahead.
people up on the panel? Okay. Let me just fix my background here because it got all mucked. There we go. Okay, so if you want to join multi-guest, I'm going to take some guests now. Let me just get them up here. Uh, who do we have? General. Just give me 1 second. So, just going to look at my multi-guest. So if you're interested in coming up, just let me know. We've got, nope, that's not it. Pending. Okay, this is old. Okay, so if you're interested in coming up on the panel now, come on up. Just request up. I know people were requesting for a while, so we're ready to have some panelists now. I'm just gonna get this window out here and waiting. The missus, did you want to come up, or let's see who else? Healing through meditation, or Nurse Melanie. Anybody wants to come up? Just let me know, and we'll just keep chatting while we wait. See if anybody is interested. I don't think I have anyone waiting right now, but I'll take a look. um, for requests. So we got Strong Woman, the Missus, Sean, and Healing Through Meditation. So we'll see. Hello, let's. Hi everyone. We'll start with Sean because he's on top. Sean, welcome to the chat. Are you there?
Hi. Yes,
Hi,
I'm here.
Sean. Hi. Did you want to talk to ask any questions of Zesty or add anything to the
Um,
conversation?
Actually, not right now. Sorry, I was just moderating and listening in.
Oh, that's okay. We'll move to the Missus then. Thank you.
Sorry, not right
Nope,
now.
that's okay. Okay. The Missus, did you have anything you
Hi,
wanted
good
to?
morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for inviting me up into the chat. Very nice to get to know you, Zesty. Thank you for sharing your story here on beaver politics and the breaking the dam. I do have a question. I have somebody in my personal life that's walking a recovery journey, is in treatment right now.
Hmm.
Um, and it's older person, right? So there's more medical
Mm-hmm.
issues that may surface, like what Jana was mentioning earlier with her
Yeah.
husband. Um, I want to know if you've had much consideration about medications. Has medications been a big piece? Have doctors come at you with solutions that are like, say, a medical, um, how has medication been a part, or is it been a part of your journey at all? Because you're very young. Are
Right.
they throwing antidepressants at you? Or is there an anti-abuse drug? Like my loved
Well,
one was saying, that she was offered, oh, I'm on the pill and I'll quit drinking because I have an anti-abuse drug. And, there seemed to be this magic pill
yeah.
conversation all the time. So I was wondering if you had any feedback for that.
I think that there actually is a pill that you could take, and it actually makes you sick if you do consume
Yep.
alcohol
Yep.
with it. But for me personally, I have been taking venlafaxine, which is an antidepressant for the better part of, I think, since 2011.
Hmm.
I struggle with OCD along with ADHD, and um, at this time, I was very not doing well, like mentally. So I started taking this medication, and it saved my life. In regards to taking anything for like my addiction, I haven't taken anything personally. I was undiagnosed with ADHD for like my entire childhood and my adult years until last year, and I got sober. And then a couple weeks later, I started to take Vyvanse for which is a stimulant for ADHD. But I have
Hmm.
not taken anything for like recovery or something to help me with like my addiction in general. I know it's different for everybody. It all
Yeah.
depends kind of like what you um, were addicted to in the first place. That kind of will play a part. But for me, honestly, no, I haven't taken anything. And if I'm being honest with you, I don't work a program. I don't go to AA. I have been to AA in the past. I do believe it works for a lot of people. I'm not dissing AA or NA by any
Hmm.
means. I do actually enjoy to go. I love the camaraderie. I love the community that is built. But
Yeah.
I don't work a 12-step program, and
Hmm.
I feel like some people definitely do need it, 100% sure, and they do thrive in that type of environment. But for me, it's like it was like a no-brainer that this was going to be a decision that I have to make for the rest of my life because I can't afford another relapse. I just know that.
Yeah.
It's more so a mindset. It's a shift in your brain. It's like it has to do with like you need to change the way that you, number one, view yourself, but the way that you view the world. So perspective for sure, but I'm not really sure even if like any type of medication can um like
Yeah.
could change anything. I remember talking to a girl not too long ago. She took this exact pill, but she would miss it on purpose so that she could go ahead and drink. You know what I mean? So it's like really
Is it working?
the change has to come from within. You know what I mean?
Can I ask quickly?
A hundred.
Go ahead, Miss
I
Bestie.
just wanted to support what he's saying. From what I've seen for people who've been offered like the medication cure, that's not really, it's not working.
Hmm.
And, so you know, when you thought addiction um, treatment, it wasn't through your GP per se. Or is that how you access? And then like you said, you were on the drug since 2011. But was that drug, it wasn't assigned to you per se, prescribed to you because of addiction? It was prescribed to you because of other things, correct? Was that correct?
Yeah, exactly. So I have always struggled with ADHD, OCD, anxiety. Now I'm probably 100% sure that my addiction had a part to play in my anxiety, triggering my anxiety, which would trigger my OCD. I would get like
Mm-hmm.
these fixations or obsessions on things that actually didn't even matter, but would drive me to the point of insanity that I'm like, okay, at least if I am not here, I can relax and I don't have to deal with this mental torture anymore. But
Right.
as soon as the doctor did prescribe me this medication, which was an antidepressant, which is again its effects are venlafaxine, it saved my life. So like
Mm-hmm.
I always talk to people about pharmaceuticals. Like if you're going to take something that's going to actually save your life and help you manage life and navigate life on sober terms, then so take whatever it is. You got to do what's best for you. You know what I mean? As long as that it's not something that you're abusing, it's affecting your life and those around you. I don't think that there's an issue with it.
Yeah,
Well,
awesome. And
I
awesome
would
that
have to agree. I'm going to go
yeah.
on mute now. But thank you for sharing all that. I appreciate hearing that, especially because, you know, some people will use the opportunity to abuse the drug that's
A-
given to fix the other constructs around the addiction.
Well, that's the person
Um,
that's never going to get that. They're never going to truly heal or recover if they're
mhm,
just switching one for another. You know.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yep.
wanted to hear right
I was gonna
there,
say,
right
yeah,
there.
the
Thank
missus,
you.
it's hard as a family member to watch someone who's not ready to get the help or
Absolutely,
struggling
absolutely.
with it. Yeah.
Thank you for opening up the missus about that. I appreciate you being vulnerable and talking about that.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
I'm just going to
Thank you so
drop
much.
quiet now and hear some more stuff.
Sounds good. And what was I going to say? My next question. Actually, let's see if Healing has anything. Oh, the Strong Women is back. I'm going to ask Strong Women first, if that's okay. Healing. Strong Woman. Did you have anything you wanted to ask Sassy or talk about?
Not at the moment. I'm just listening. It's sort of out of my wheelhouse of any type of, expertise or anything that I can really add. I'm just listening and
You've got
supporting
a
and
great
applaud.
story and so
Yeah, and
open to
applaud.
talk about it.
Yeah, it is absolutely. My daughter's a psychotherapist, and she does a lot of work
Yeah.
in this area, but that's not her main scope of work. Hers is in hospice and palliative care, helping people in
Oh,
mental
she is
health.
special. I've
That's
gone through
amazing.
that journey several times, and the
Yeah,
hospice and hospital workers are so phenomenal. So
yeah.
the nurses in particular.
She started as a
Wow.
music therapist because
Yeah.
music is an amazing way. We are all connected by music. It's an
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
amazing tool to heal yourself. We have our parents sang songs to us. We have first songs at our weddings. We have songs that make memories. So, it's
Yes.
just a great way to connect and, use it as a part of therapy. I strongly encourage people to look at music therapy, and she
Yeah.
uses that and also her psychotherapy in end of life and supporting remaining ones. So I also encourage
Fabulous.
anybody to look at that as a way of therapy. But your story is amazing, interesting, and I applaud you for speaking out. I am just listening and learning. So thank you.
Of
You show so
course.
much resilience, in the face
Yes.
of a lot of barriers and trauma and events like just yeah, I can't
And
even
you never
imagine
know,
like
you never know who's listening today, who you may
yeah.
reach out and touch, somebody who's suffering in silence and
Hmm.
not
Mm-hmm.
knowing,
Yeah,
right?
I feel like the whole purpose of me doing this today is because I wanted a way for uh me to kind of heal myself and be able to like say things out loud, but in the hopes that I could, even help just one person. But like there's always someone who's listening or someone who needs to hear it. I just hope by sharing my story and healing myself that I could help heal other people as well.
Absolutely. And that's awesome.
And for sure
Healing, did you
you're
oh
doing
sorry.
that. No, I'm just saying, and for sure
Ah,
you're doing that today. Not to mention, it's good to listen to your accent. I have to tell you.
I didn't even know I had an accent. Everyone
I'm
keeps
gonna
telling me
say,
that.
I'm gonna say it's no. I missed the introduction. If you did, so forgive me. Are you from Nova Scotia somewhere?
I'm from Newfoundland.
Oh, from Newfoundland.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, you
Oh
don't have
yeah,
a strong accent, but it's there.
not strong. It's there.
Okay. Well, I hope it's a good thing.
No, it
It
is. It's a
is.
great thing. That's what I'm saying. I love it.
Oh,
I
thank you
love a
so
good
much.
accent. So we'll ask Healing. Did you have anything you wanted to ask or add, Healing? Oh, maybe they've stepped away for a bit. We'll check in again. So I was going to
No,
ask
I'm
you.
here.
Oh, you're here. Okay.
I'm
Did you have
I'm
anything you wanted to?
here. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Zesty. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. You're the one I'm listening to, and good for you. I want to say good for you for getting as far as you have gotten. God, wants to bless you a million times over for being as strong and getting through all the tough stuff. Um, Growing up, I was also I didn't have issues with substances because I actually got married very young and I was a mom very young. And that was the only thing that stopped me from going down the spiral because of just different things that went on in my life in the
Right.
sense
Mm-hmm.
of, there was attempted sexual
Ah, kill
abuse.
niggers, kill
Oh,
niggers, kill niggers, kill
sorry.
niggers, kill
Excuse
niggers, kill
me.
niggers.
Sorry, sorry,
Can we
sorry,
get him out
sorry,
of
sorry.
here?
Kill nigger, 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 nigger.
Can someone get
Thank
him
you.
out of here? Thank you.
Yeah. So just abuse of different sorts, which led me to want to help teens
Yep.
with their issues, let's say it
Yep.
that way. They would come from all over Alberta and needed a place to stay. And so I watched them go from not really wanting to quit, but they had to actually quitting and going to school. So it was amazing. Some of them did fall back, but as you were talking, I was just remembering back to a lot of the youth. I did it for 14 years. They were going to the ADEP program. And so I went through a lot of kids and saw a lot of success stories. And one thing that they all said to me was that they appreciated the support I gave them. So anybody who's listening, support is really, really important. Even if you don't understand, just be a safe space, right?
That's that I could not agree with that anymore. It's like if you don't understand or you don't get it, that's fine, but just try to have some patience and some grace because no one sets out to wake up and say, "Okay, I want to be an addict," or, "I want to have an addiction." It's like it's not something I remember being young and I was so naive and looking at I remember seeing a woman smoke a cigarette for the first time, and I got sick to my stomach because I didn't think that women smoked. That's how
Mm.
sheltered I was. And I remember I will never, ever be like my dad. And like no one sets out to be this way. It's just some of us don't have, and we're not lucky or blessed enough to have the coping skills that other people do have. And a lot of us go through certain things that you will never understand or you will never even want to know. And the only way sometimes that we could deal with that is to escape, is to numb, is
Mm-hmm.
to get rid of the pain that we feel because every single day of actually living and being here is absolute torture. So, yeah, just be kind. If you see someone on the street, you see someone who's suffering, you see, just know that they're someone's son, they're someone's
Mm-hmm.
maybe husband, someone's uncle who doesn't even want to be where they're at right now. It's just they
Yeah.
can't. There is no solution for them at this point in time. But no one wants to be where they're at. And when it comes to addiction, it's not like we choose to be this way. You know?
Exactly.
That's right.
Nobody wants it.
That's right.
Nobody wants
So
it.
no, so anybody who can come out, I thought I'd show you my face since I'm seeing yours. Um, Nobody should have to struggle through this alone. And of course, nobody plans to be where they are. Sometimes they just fall into it.
Right.
But
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really glad that you got out of it. It takes a really strong, determined person to do so, on top of which having to deal with your other issues that your dad wouldn't accept. I've got a few friends who are gay, and they told me their stories as well, which is so, my heart goes out to everyone that has a story that nobody understands
Yeah.
and nobody takes it, but there are people like yourself now, I'm sure you're going to be there to help other people, which they'll be
Absolutely.
very grateful for, right? And
Mm-hmm.
all we can be is a safe space for everyone. So congratulations for getting as far as you did.
Thank you
And
very much.
Yes.
and keep going, man, because you know what? The future is there's nowhere to go but up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so
Yeah.
true. And I feel like I'm just now like tapping into like my own potential of like what it is that I want to do. And I have so many things that I'm interested in that I want to get back into as like someone who's creative and artsy. And I honestly feel like the sky's the limit now for me because my life is just beginning, you know?
Mm-hmm. You got a fresh
You know
start.
what, Zesty? Don't stop looking for that. I'm 60 and I'm still looking for things that invigorate me. So now I recently had a hip replacement surgery 3 months ago, and I'm going to the gym, and my goal is to do the aerials, which I've never done anything like that. I've never even been on a bungee cord.
Oh,
Well,
oh,
girl,
I know what you're talking about.
that's gonna get you in shape.
So this is, we're always, so never stop looking for the next thing. That's all I can say.
Absolutely.
Just keep
Well,
looking.
I'm proud of you for stepping
Thank you.
outside your comfort zone and doing something new. You know what I mean? We're always growing, we're always evolving. So
Mhm.
kudos to you for trying something new.
And never
Thank
say
you.
you're too
So
old
yeah,
to do something.
Also,
never.
I just gave you a follow, okay?
Oh, thank you. I'm going to give you one too,
Okay, it was
for
nice to
sure.
thank you for
Nice.
connecting with me and sharing that.
You're welcome,
Thank
and
you so
good luck
much.
in your future. And I'm sure every now and again you'll hear from me a message or so. All
Awesome.
right, take care. Take
You
care.
too.
I'll stay on, but I'll let somebody else talk.
Okay. Well, I was just going to ask, what was it that you found? Well, actually, I want to do a shameless plug for Smart Recovery. I don't know if you've ever heard of Smart Recovery, but a lot of people don't know about them, and they are cognitive behavioral therapy based, science based recovery support group for people who maybe don't connect to AA. So
Hmm.
it's an option that they have no religion in it. It's all psychology based. So just something smartrecovery.ca or .com. Very they got online support groups, and they also have groups for friends and family and such. And they teach cognitive behavioral techniques that some people find very helpful in addiction recovery. So I was just going to mention that because it's good to have an option besides AA. AA is fabulous, not knocking them, but if you don't connect to the God aspect of AA, it can be hard. My husband struggled with that because he didn't he was a big Roman Catholic, but he didn't believe that it was in God's hands. He believed it was in his hands. So that
I just wanted to touch on that for a brief second because I think a lot of people get confused by the word God when it
mm-hmm,
comes to AA, and it is just a like higher power. So if you want
yeah,
your God to be the headlamp that's over there, or your cat, it could be that too. It's all about putting your faith in something higher than yourself. You know what I
yeah,
mean? But I do agree with what you say. It is not for everybody for sure. I
mm,
just feel very blessed that I always had a relationship with my higher power from a very young age, and
yeah,
I would not be here. I've had my own personal spiritual awakenings and things that happened in my own life that you cannot, like, physics cannot explain, nobody can
mm-hmm,
explain. And I don't share them with anyone either except for close friends, because it's like things that you wouldn't believe. So I know that there is something more than myself, and I'm so glad that I have the connection with my higher power, because I would not be here having this conversation with you today.
absolutely. And it's great that you have that. And I can tell you, like, I'm with you on that. I have a strong spiritual beliefs from because of things that happened to me when I was younger too. Things
Right,
that are really just. I won't tell stories now because it's off topic, but
right.
someday we'll chat about that because I have a really good story about my mom's passing. That was really
Yes, that's
weird.
cool. Yeah, and I have some cool stories too. So maybe for another day for sure.
Yeah. So what was it with being in treatment the last time? What was there one big thing that you found? This is a tool that's really going to work for me, or this is a theory, or like any tools that they gave you, or was it just kind of like the whole package?
I found that writing my feelings down on
Mm-hmm.
paper um, was something that really did help me.
Yeah.
I used to write every single day in treatment, and it was something that it helped me really get my thoughts down on paper. Was uh kind of life changing for me. I'm just going to read you like a little excerpt from, this is September 5th. It said I did like these different types of let's see, one second here.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, today I'm practicing self love, becoming more comfortable in my own skin, being proud of who I am as a person, especially when it comes to self esteem. And then I said, I'm grateful for my talents, being able to sing and be a part of something beautiful when it comes to choirs is something I want to get involved in again. Today I'm learning to follow my daily checklist, to be able to forgive myself for the past and really embody change. Change in this area will hold me accountable. Seeing check marks on paper will give me the visual satisfaction I need. Today, I'm practicing when I high five myself in the mirror, talk to myself in my head or out loud. Positive affirmations are important to me. I didn't realize I was such a passive aggressive person, which is
Mm-hmm.
alarming to me because, especially in the workplace, I need to be more assertive at work. This will change the way. people view me, and I can gain their respect. So it for me, writing things down and really like following that way, it's like reading it back now to things that I wrote. It's like it was a game changer for me, really writing things down
Mm,
and just having it on paper, because no matter what it is that you're going through, it's just nice to be able to go back and read, how far you've actually come or where your mindset was
absolutely.
at the time, because you're like, okay, what was I thinking that day, right?
And journaling is so powerful, and especially if you handwrite, it actually makes a difference, they say, between handwriting and typing. And
Yes.
yeah, there's something about that connection with the pen and handwriting that it helps you remember things better, but it's almost like you're maybe channeling your higher self or something. Like you can
Yeah,
really
absolutely. I
get
agree
that
with
message
that.
through. And
100%.
yeah, and it's so impactful, and you have so much insight, like just seeing that recognizing that you have passive aggressive tendencies if you do, and being aware of yourself, because many of us don't.
Yeah, I just wanted to be able to become the best version of myself. And
Yeah.
uh, I actually was always searching for something like tangible. I
Hmm.
wanted like this, whether it was a cigarette or a drink or whatever. And I actually wrote it out on paper and I read it the other day. And the only way that I can fill the void within myself is to become the best version of myself. And I thought that was the biggest takeaway that I actually got from going to a treatment center, is that like I hold all the answers to everything that I have in life. Every question I have, it's already deep within me. It's I need to search for it. But when we're masking ourselves, when we're hiding from who we truly are, when we're trying to be somebody that we're not, we're never going to be able to find out the truth,
Hmm.
of our existence. And I feel like now I'm actually like unmasking and learning who I truly am at my core. And it's a beautiful thing to just like kind of not even really care what people think of me anymore, because I was that person that was very like, okay, I have to look a certain way, like especially in the
Right.
gay community, I wanted to make sure I look like this or act a certain way. And now it's like I honestly really don't care, because I just want to be me. And I think that's why my TikTok has been resonating with a lot of people, because
Yeah.
I've just been like literally unapologetically myself and just posting like some real content that's relatable. But at the end of the day, it's like I'm just being me, and I'm finally realizing that that's enough. And
Yes.
that's all the universe really wants, is for us to be our authentic selves. When we're like being authentic, I'm pretty sure that's like the highest vibrational frequency you can actually be at. So in like there's love, then there's being authentic. And my goal is to keep learning, keep growing, and to keep being me.
Awesome. And it sounds like it was a really empowering experience, because you learned that instead of feeding the addiction, you can feed your soul.
Yeah, and that's a really hard thing to do when you are so used to like this comfort blanket of addiction.
Hmm.
And I say that because it's like a double-edged sword, to the point where it's something that could comfort you in like the moment, but also be so detrimental to your brain, your soul, and to everybody around you. So it's like it's really hard to stop, because it makes you feel good temporarily, and then afterwards the anxiety, like the
Hmm.
consequences. So you're like, okay, it's like, well, the only thing I know that's going to make me feel better is the thing that actually hurts me the most. So it's like this toxic vicious cycle that you cannot get out of. And that's why you see a lot of people who don't actually make it, because it's I honestly feel like I'm one of the lucky ones. It's very rare that someone makes it out of like deep active addiction, honestly.
Yeah.
So now I feel like I have a purpose to really share my story and to really show people that there is life after, um, you know, addiction. There really is. I was the type of person who was who was talked about, I'm sure, every single day around the dinner table. Like I was that person, like that was me. And to know now that I'm being talked about in a positive way feels like so surreal to me, that I started my own clothing business. I wrote a
Yep.
children's book. I did everything I set my mind to, I feel like I can achieve, and I can only do that because I'm aligning with like my soul's purpose. So it's like you attract what you are, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Sean, you had a question or a comment.
Yes,
Sean's
first of
unmuted.
all, I just want to say sorry about before. I was trying to do some things at the same time and I wasn't ready to speak. But yeah, so I wanted to mention a few things. First of all, I don't know if you mentioned, but I was wondering, would you consider your father a narcissist?
Um, no, I would not consider him to be a narcissist. I think he was just two different people. One that I did not get along with when he was sober, and I did not get along with when he was drunk whatsoever. And he had a good relationship with my sisters for the most part. I'm just trying to think back, like maybe he had some of his own traumas with his father, and then
Mhm.
maybe his uncle. Like I'm not sure, like if he was abused as a kid, but all I know is that like I was never going to be who he wanted me to be, and that's just. And he took out a lot of his anger and frustration out on me, as did my mom. So my mom's relationship with my dad, they never had a good one, and I was always the one that was getting like um, how can I say it? The end of the stick, basically. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
which really sucked. And again, I don't think my dad was a narcissist. I just think that he was a broken man who didn't know how to love himself, and he also was numbing his own pain through addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. No, I mentioned that or I asked that because a lot of things that you talked about, like I've gone through as well, and like I'm very certain my father is a narcissist, and like I have a degree in psychology, and I have spent many years in therapy. I'm not addicted to any substance, but food has been my issue.
Right.
So a lot of
Hmm.
the themes you talked about is this same kind of struggle I've had with food.
Yeah.
And though I know it's not the same type of addiction, but that comfort blanket that you talked about like really resonated with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so I just it's some of the themes that you talked about, just like same with me, like being um what did you say, intimidated by men.
Hmm.
Like that's something that I've had to deal with. um
Yes.
and I'm also part of the LGBTQ community as well, so I'm very aware of the whole like standard you want to stick to, like for I guess look wise, because that can really impact how you feel about yourself as well.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And then you're throwing food into the mix. So it's just like you feel guilty and then you're ashamed and then you feel good and then you feel bad. So you're up and down. And then that also feeds into you're not good enough. So I get
Yeah.
it with the food. And you know what? It is, even though it's not like an addiction as I've had, it's the same type of thing. I actually just gave up pornography for my New Year's
Oh,
resolution
what's
because
the
I
word?
did. Oh, sorry. Uh,
Corn.
Corn,
CORN.
yeah, corn. Sorry. Yeah, I gave that up for my New Year's resolution because I didn't want to have anything to have control over me anymore. I didn't want to be a slave to anything. So if I was going to give up all of my other addictions, I was like, I did want this to have a hold over me as well. So now it's like I kind of feel free from everything, and I can actually live my life. It's crazy how like just even like cigarettes, whatever it is, that you're a slave to that cigarette. You're going out in
Mhm.
minus
Hmm.
40, minus 45. That has control over you. You know what I mean? So I wanted to live my life on my own terms, and finally, like I always felt bad because I'm like, okay, it's like I have to surrender. Yeah, you surrender, but actually you are in control. Like they no
Hmm.
longer have control over me. So I'm the one who's in control. So it's a powerful thing to know that nothing controls my life anymore, and I am the creator of my own universe. I have control of my destiny, and now I can create the life that I deserve.
Absolutely. And I've struggled with cigarettes. I quit them before I had my first child, so around 28. But I smoked for a number of years, and that was hard.
Hmm.
I had quit and started and quit and started and quit and started many times during that, process, and eating food as well. I went through like with anxiety and depression because I also have OCD zesty. Interestingly, we'll have to talk about that someday because mine was very germophobic oriented, and I was scared to death of leaving an appliance on, and it would like burn my house down.
Yes, mine, well, me too. I would have to touch the wall or put on my deodorant 5 times, or my sister would get pregnant, or I would get schizophrenia, or somebody
Yep.
would be unaliving themselves. So no, I get that 100%. So it's just I try to explain to people. My sisters, they say to me sometimes, I'm surprised you turned out as normal as you have for the things that I've actually been through and like my own mental health struggles. So just remember, like people who have addictions, usually there's some underlying mental health issue. Like I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying 100% of the time, but I would say 90% of the time that there's some
Codependency.
underlying issue. Yeah, exactly. That they're trying to like ease, you know what I mean? Especially
Yep.
for me, like my last going off on my bender, the alcohol really helps with the OCD because you forget, right? You really
Exactly. Your
you,
guard
and
is
I
down.
yeah,
It,
absolutely. So it's like there's no counting, there's no nothing. I'm not lining things up. I actually couldn't care less. Like
mhm.
I'm throwing things around. Like it was just I love that part about it. Obviously, I didn't like anything else, but the fact that like my brain could kind of relax, but it was just obviously it wasn't relaxed. It was getting poisoned, but that's a whole different story. But yeah, it's true. It's like people
It gave you a
as
break.
oh, absolutely. It really does.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I
Georgia,
can.
in the comments.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Alcohol makes you lazy. But it's a break from your mind, but it's not, again, it's not the best coping because what you really need to do is the work to get over those
But I mean,
OCD
who wants to do the
but
work? Who wants, like, nobody wants to feel their feelings. Nobody wants to feel
yeah,
their emotions. Nobody wants to actually, anybody who has any type of like mental health issue, the last thing you want to do is to be working on your trauma. You know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
But then there gets to a point when you're like, okay, when it becomes like life or you have to make a decision, it's like, okay, it's go time. It's you need to
Yep.
do it. So yeah, you're right. You do have to put in the work if you want to be able to
Hmm.
change and to have the life you deserve for sure.
Exactly. Well, you have to get to the root of what it is that's flaring your OCD up. Like, what is
Well, yeah.
that? And often it's, a general anxiety about things. For me, it was having my first child. That changed hormones and just changed responsibilities. I had a baby. I was in a city without my family and doing it on my own. I had no experience with children. It was a lot of stress. And on top of the hormonal fluctuations, I ended up with postpartum anxiety, OCD. And it took years, but it was a lot of emotional work because the medications help. They do, but they don't solve everything. They're like a I don't want to use the word crutch. They're not exactly a crutch, but they're a help. They're like a walker if you can't walk, right? Like it helps support you, but you still need to throw that walker, or not throw the walker away, but stand up on your own too.
Hmm.
I've got someone else requesting to join. I've got to see who they are first because I don't know Renee. I just want to make sure you're not going to come up and get us taken down because the last guy I got a warning for again, the N word guy. Um, so let me just see Renee. I'm just going to check their profile. They look like. Are you friendly, Renee? Can you just say in chat?
Are you friendly, Renee?
Are you a friendly Renee? Can we bring you up
Please
and
be
know you're not
nice.
going to? I think so. I really think so. But let's see. We'll take a chance, I guess. Give me a second and let Renee come up. See what they want to add. But yeah, let's see here. Oh, nope, they took their invite down, so they must not withdrew. Okay, you withdrew? Oh, well, if you want to request up, go ahead.
Oh, I know. Yeah, she is nice.
Is she? Okay. So yeah, feel free to request up and I'll bring you up, Renee. Invite Renee. Where are you? Just because there we go. I sent her an invite if she wants to come back up.
Okay.
But yeah, it's you have to do the hard work emotionally and explore the issues that are affecting you, right? And the
Yeah.
medication doesn't do that for you, and that part is so important that we have a chance to do that. And for me, it was cognitive behavioral therapy that really helped, and exposure therapy that really helped me. just going to mute the missus here because I can hear the background there. They must have unmuted by mistake. So what if someone were to come to you asking, with an addictions issue and ask you what should I do? Would you say maybe rehab, or like what would you say to them if a friend came to you and asked? And because I'm sure it's going to happen to you if it hasn't already.
Yeah, if someone was to ask me like what they should do,
Hmm.
um, honestly,
It's a tough one, isn't it?
it would all really depend on like the person, how old they are, what they're doing, like, um, but yeah, I feel at the end of the day, a lot of people do not want to ask for help. Also, they look at rehab as something that's horrible and very negative. So I guess maybe there's a huge stigma around like rehab treatment facilities in general. Um, for me, I feel like it's a godsend and it saved my life, and I'm sure it saves many people's lives. But
Yeah.
take it as an opportunity to, like, kind of rewire your brain, reparent yourself, get the support that you need, learn new things. Yeah, I feel like treatment centers are very underrated and should be used a lot more. And I know we as human beings have too much pride and ego gets in the way, and we think, oh,
Yeah.
we can do it on our own. Just give me a little bit. I'm not ready yet. Or, there's nothing wrong with reaching out for help. And I'm glad that I put my pride aside many times and just realized that, obviously I do need professional help. And yeah, it was the best decision that I've ever made, was to go back to rehab again.
Yeah, and that pride can take your life. That's what happened with my husband. He just
Yeah, so sorry.
he wasn't willing to connect, and he was very proud of, he didn't want anyone to know that he had this issue.
Yeah.
uh, and ultimately trying so hard to hide it killed him, because he
Hmm.
didn't get that help that he needed. And that's why I hope to reach people, with this, that you want to get the help before you end up in that kind of a situation, because you could also overdose. You can get a alcohol poisoning. I'm just saying it
Yeah.
weird because then, yeah,
There's
that, like
also
any
there's
Winehouse.
there's so many people that I know of and that you probably know of or are friends with that actually have addictions right now, but they're so oblivious to the fact that they're like high functioning, or they were like, oh, I don't have a problem yet. They
Yeah,
do. There's so many more people that actually have addiction issues but would never admit it and probably never will, but are just really good at either hiding it or just living with it and don't even know.
yeah. The missus, you had a question.
Yes, thanks for having me up again for this. Hanging out, listening to all this interesting conversation. So,
Hmm.
one of the things that popped into my mind, because you said that you said you went back again to rehab. So, have you been to treatment more than once?
Yeah, this was actually my fourth time being in
The
treatment.
fourth time. Well, as I'm a medical social worker. That's my background, and
Yep.
I've helped people to fill out the paperwork and that kind of thing to get into the treatment centers. And I think it's important for people to know that you can dip into this system multiple times. That that the system is available for whenever you're ready to take those
Yeah.
steps.
Right.
And I was wondering if was that the most difficult piece for you? Because I know some systems are private and they have there's a cost. Like it's $5,000 or $6,000 a month to go to some of the basic treatment centers out there. Like say a government treatment center would have so many beds that would be private that you could get into like tomorrow if you had the money to
Right.
do
Hmm.
that, which is what happened in our family system.
Hmm.
But some people don't have that money, so they have to
Yeah.
go on a wait list,
Right.
and this is where that the danger zone can take
Exactly.
place. Right, there's
For
this
sure.
gap that
Well, and I can
many
tell you,
people kind of fall into.
yeah, and I can tell you in Alberta, or Edmonton to be specific, you have to go to like to get detox, you have to go to the detox center at 10 in the morning, and you may or may not get in. And that's really got to be hard on people because they can only triage, because they might have 20 people show up and have 5 spots.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
that's got to be really hard on the 15 that don't get in that day, you know?
I was lucky enough that the treatment centers that I actually did attend were like a 28-day program, and they
Hmm.
were all covered. They were all covered. The cost was covered. Um, I did have to wait sometimes weeks to get into these. I'm fortunate enough that I actually made it, but there literally are people who pass away waiting to get in,
Yes.
unfortunately, which is absolutely terrible. So
Unacceptable. Yeah.
I think that's really up to like the healthcare system, you know what I mean, to be able to make more
More
facilities that
spots. Yeah.
are available, right?
More beds. Exactly. More
Yeah.
ability.
This is something has nobody's talked about this in the conversation yet. I'm going to drop this conversation. I'm going to leave so other people can talk, and definitely for
Okay.
you to be able to talk, Zesty. You're very let's say eloquent in your the way
Very.
you're laying out the conversation. It's easy. It's very easy to listen to. But I come from a harm reduction point of view. And
Right.
you mentioned earlier, some people become functioning addicts.
Right.
In our community, we have a needle exchange program, and I mean these statistics are just what they were 5 years ago may not be true today, but just as somewhat reflective of the community. When we had 500 or 600 daily users, like active users that you see in the homeless population downtown. You
Hmm.
see that in the people who are accessing sort of social service supports, living in that low income bracket. That you see 400 to 500 people a day, but that needle exchange program serviced 2,500 people. 2,500. So all these functioning addicts that exist in our society. And I think for me, being a harm reduction perspective, I think if people understood it's all around you and you don't
Hmm.
even know, right? And the harm reduction has a place in our
So,
society and in
yeah.
recovery conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, I find it's very, especially in Canada, it's very normalized. My boyfriend actually lives in Germany, so I travel back and forth, and it's a completely different world as like he came to visit from Germany, I think it was last year, and you know how you see people outside the Tim Hortons, they're like,
Yeah.
bent over, and it's like basically like zombies. And it's so normalized, it's people just go on about their day.
Hmm.
Um, I'm not really sure how I personally feel about it because, like, I think more should be done to help these people. I'm not really sure if giving them these safe injection sites is for like the best. You know what I mean? I we need to kind of fix the epidemic, not really be encouraging them to use.
Well, I
Okay.
think my view on
I
it
hear
is
what
that
you're saying there.
yeah.
Sorry, I hear what you're saying there. It's not an uncommon kind of, conversation when you're sort of like putting it out there to support harm reduction. But in terms of alcohol, I've also done some very specific work with fetal alcohol spectrum
Hmm.
syndrome
Yes,
disorder. And that alcohol is one of those substances, unlike heroin, unlike meth, that
Ooh, watch the
actually
words. I don't know if
causes
we can
cell
say that.
damage.
it
Yeah.
is. I agree.
Pardon me?
Oh, I was just gonna
Oh,
say, watch
oh,
naming
sorry,
the
sorry.
D's because yeah. No, that's
Yes.
okay.
So it does like a physical and earlier, Jana, you mentioned people getting brain damage at a young age, and I work in end of life care, and I've seen specifically there's a phenomenon within men in their 50s, especially Indigenous men, going into an alcohol caused dementia from
Yeah.
literally hardening of your frontal lobes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So,
That's what happened to my
because,
husband.
so in specific to alcohol, we would like, in a harm reduction approach, can you switch your substance while you're pregnant? And heroin would be less harmful
Oh,
than alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol.
So,
I,
yeah.
I agree with you. It is a poison, and
yep.
yeah, I think it's absolutely unreal how our society has normalized something that is basically there to like uh you know? It is.
Hmm.
I think that alcohol is one of the worst
It is.
substances. It also is the hardest to like withdraw from, but yeah, I think it is the most damaging as well, for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna Google it just for
Hmm.
curiosity's sake. But I've looked into this, and the harm rate for alcohol is so much higher than most other drugs.
For sure.
Hmm. Absolutely. I think if people under like the way we put those warning signs on cigarettes packages, they should do that with the other organs in the body around
They should, but
alcohol.
they never will because they make too much. It's all about money and it's greed, right? So it'll never change,
Hmm.
So
unfortunately.
so I brought one
Thank
up
you,
now,
Sean, for
and
joining in.
from a
I'll
reliable
go on
site.
mute now. Thank you for your time again.
So alcohol is both 50, it's at 45% harm to others, and another 30% harm to self. The next one under it, and it is the number one. It is the number one most harmful drug that there is, and it's legal. So it is interesting that we, jump on all these other, like, I'll just use the other green drug as an example, that one smokes. It is so much, it is like a quarter that alcohol is in size. It's
Yeah.
like 10 people, 9 or 8 people would be harm to others out of 100, and maybe 10 more harm to self. So it's just so much substantially, like, it's alcohol, then the H injectable drug, then the snorting drug, and then the other METH drug. Uh, then they go down from there. Even codeine and tobacco and are higher than the green drug.
Hmm.
And the lowest harm is the one that makes you hallucinate. So with the L and the S and the D. So it's really interesting that alcohol is so damaging, but somehow socially acceptable, and that people are so afraid of um, these other substances, but really alcohol is the one that does the most damage for people, and more important, not more importantly, but really substantial to 45 out of 100 people who drink, their families are suffering because of it. So
Because
about half.
it makes the most money, that's why.
Yeah, exactly. It makes the most money, and it's been legal forever. So, and I'm not saying they should delegalize it. I'm just saying that it's really good to know that that it is a dangerous substance for a lot
Hmm.
of people, and can cause long-term damage to your body, to your brain, and and luckily, like, you're obviously stopped before any of that happened, which is great, but it can be very damaging, as the missus was mentioning too.
Yeah, absolutely. I was more of a binge drinker, so I would
Yep.
always give bouts of sobriety, like I said, because I worked
Yep.
in the oil and gas industry. So rotational work, I would always get those bouts of sobriety. And I was trying to get sober for, like I said, about 10 years. So I would get like 2 months, 3 months, almost to 3 months. And then I would like drink for one night and then get sober again. So I was always trying until
Hmm.
like the last going off where I was just like, there comes a point where you just like I just let go and I'm just like it is what it is, and it just became my life.
Hmm.
And then when that happens, it's like your whole reality becomes kind of distorted. So it's like the things that I
Yep.
was doing, it just became another day, and I'm like, okay, this is my new life now. This is how I'm gonna live. But yeah, it is. It's crazy because the way that alcohol affects the brain, that it really does. Make you feel like it's your new norm and this is how your life is going to be, and I just came to accept it at the time. But yeah, I could
Right.
not be any happier that I am where I'm at now, because I know that a lot of people, it really does damage the body, and once you go so far, there's no coming back.
Yeah. Oh, so I'm just replying to Uncle Seth, but instead of texting, are you comparing someone who has a couple beers to someone who shoves a needle in their arm? Uncle Sykes, no, I'm comparing the addictions, not a couple of beers. There is a difference. So, and yeah. Anyway, just wanted to address that because they weren't paying attention. I was talking about the outcome of addictions to the substance.
I wouldn't even give those people the time of day.
Yeah, they're not worth it.
No.
We get a lot of that here because we're a political TikTok, so we get a lot of people that are,
Okay.
yeah, just want to jump on the NDP and liberals for stuff. But yeah,
Get a life. Get a life.
any chance they get. So it sounds like it was a really good journey. So how long did you stay for a month? Was was it that you stayed in your last addictions recovery center?
Was 28 days.
28 days. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how was coming out of there? Like how was your first little bit out? Because I bet that can be a challenging time.
It was good. I actually went back to work shortly after, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just learning how to live. Um, sort of just laughing at the comment in the bottom.
Yeah, I was just about to mute him because he's just being a pain. He gets a 30-second mute. See if he sticks
That's so
around.
funny. Yeah, it was good. Sorry, I'm immature. Yeah, no, it was good. I came in, I went straight to work. I just learned how to interact with like uh people with like a different outlook on life basically. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I was just ready for it. So it's been great. It's been a great experience doing a lot of firsts
Yeah.
for the first time, like going out to eat by myself or being in the city or going out shopping and just like my sister trusting me with her kids to drive them around or just spending time with people and not thinking about like drinking or using and just living life on life's terms and appreciating life for exactly what it is, watching a sunset or being out feeling the breeze on my face and
Yeah.
watching kids play or like listening to someone snore, just all these different things that just like you kind of take for granted and be like, this is what it's about, you know?
Yeah. So it sounds like you did pretty good in your first little while out this time. Has it always
Yeah.
been that way when you've gotten out of recovery, or has it been
No,
rougher at times?
I think I got it one time. It was like 2 days later. I was just actually where I think it was the day that I got out. I just went out and I actually went with somebody who I met in there and we ended up partying together. So it was just this time I was just ready. I was there for the right reason and I was there for myself and I was there to get sober for me. So don't ever go to a rehab or treatment in if you're going for somebody else, you are going to fail. I could tell you
Yeah.
right now, if you're doing it for your relationship or your marriage, do not go. It's a waste of time. You'll be sober for probably for the time there, but you're never going to get sober. You're never going to change your life until you're ready to make the change from within yourself and to do it for
Yeah.
you. That's got to come
And
from within.
and what kind of coping skills did you come out with when you like? Did you find that they gave you some new ways to cope with your anxiety? Like you mentioned writing, for
Yeah, like
example.
some different type of breathing techniques they taught meditation,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, like she said with the music therapy. There's lots of different types of therapy. Obviously, AA and A was a big one. Get a sponsor,
Yeah.
a great support system. Learn what it is that makes you happy. Finding hobbies, really filling up your time. So, um,
And finding new
honestly,
things you're passionate about, I think, like you said, hobbies, but whatever you have a passion for is a
definitely,
great.
and that's why I said I started my clothing brand kind of was born out of that. That's how I started the happier brand, and then I really fell in love with making content and TikTok. Honestly, it really helped me open up, and I created like this like new community of people that I love to interact and engage with and to talk to every single day. It's been a game changer for me. So I'm so glad that I found my besties online.
Yeah, that is, and that's you've built like a really great support community. We can talk
Yeah,
about
I
that for a
feel
few
like
minutes. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it just all happened so out of the blue, and
Hmm.
we all kind of found each other, and I think like they give me just as much as I give them. It's like we are all here to help each other, and a lot of my besties in the comments and in my lives are like becoming friends with each other and following each other. So
Yeah.
it's been it's been a great opportunity to just like build connection, and the opposite of addiction is connection. So I feel like my
Hmm.
whole entire life I've just been yearning to find acceptance and
Yeah.
find joy with other people. And I never really expected that I would find it on TikTok, but here we are.
Well, you know what? I say the same thing. I came onto TikTok looking just to. I was frustrated with the political, and I won't get into the big politics of it, but I was very frustrated with what's going on politically, and I just needed to have my voice heard.
Hmm.
I needed to feel empowered because I felt like I had no power to change anything or do anything positive about the upcoming election.
Right.
Because I'm like I won't get deep into politics, but the conservatives are scary right now because they're mimicking what happened in the United States with Donald Trump. A lot of their campaign is uh, very much modeled after Trump's campaign, and I'm very worried about our sovereignty because Trump has been talking about wanting us to become the 51st state, and so politically I just wanted to have my voice heard, um, and it's been such an amazing experience with the community that has grown from that, and beaver politics, and all of that community, and finding your communities and other communities, and just building connections in a way that I didn't think the internet could do. So I think it's
Yeah.
been a really positive experience in that way. So it's great that there is a place where we can have these communities, and be able to share and talk.
Yeah, I just honestly, I don't, if I if I could give anybody advice, if somebody gave advice to me is to they said if I wanted to like be successful on TikTok was to like, don't get into like religion and politics, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously some people have a voice that they want to get heard, like you
Yep.
said. But for me, just real quick,
That's okay.
I have no interest in the politics part of it because
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in what anybody says at this point. It's like basically like voting someone in the lesser of two evils. You know what I mean? They're all very shady. They're all corrupt. Like there's no hope for Canada at this point. I really wish that I could be saying something different, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
I just don't even really get into it because what is the point? It's like you're fighting against something that is never good. We're never going to win. People's voice is never going to matter unless we all, as like legit, like the whole, how many millions of us like go and raise our voices at the
Well,
same time, which is never going to happen. Which I would love for it to happen, but maybe you will be the change, Beaver politics, that will make it happen. I hope
you
so,
never
but
know.
yeah, you never know.
Yeah, no, and we won't talk about politics because I know that's not your thing. I was just saying that that was my motivation.
And not that
Yeah,
it is not my thing. I love to watch things about politics. I find it so entertaining and interesting, and it's like watching a soap opera. I just like to watch it. But
yeah,
like, as in to have hope, or people ask me who you're voting for or whatever, it's like it
yeah,
doesn't matter who you vote for because nothing is ever going to be done. We're all going to be a slave to the system. That's just how it is.
yeah, yeah. And I have strong opinions about that, but I'll keep them for this because
We need to talk
I
some.
love you anyway.
We need to talk some other time.
Yeah, exactly about that.
For
But
sure.
um, but no, it's been like it sounds like it's been such an amazing journey for you. Did you have a lot of like did you find a lot of support along the way from friends like that you met in
Um,
during the rehab, or is it more
I
online?
feel like I did meet some friends. I haven't really stayed in contact. If anything, I
Hmm.
feel I feel like I've lost friends,
Yeah,
who
that's
or that
common.
I thought were friends. And I feel like the friendships that I did have were not aligning with who I was becoming, or like the morals that I now have, or now that I have the word, now that I know what integrity means or self-respect. It's like I can't really have these people in my life, and I don't want in any way to be triggered or reminded of what my life used to be like.
Yep.
And I just want to move forward and grow and have positive people in my life. So unfortunately, that means letting go of relationships that I had for a long time. And it is sad because, these people did help me and I'm not
Yep.
taking it for granted whatsoever, but I had to do what's best for me. And I don't think it's a selfish thing to try to better yourself and do what's best for
No.
you.
Well, sometimes, especially if you have friends who also are struggling with addictions, it can be really hard to maintain those friendships if they're not in a good
Right.
place because you need to take care of yourself first too. And
Yeah.
sometimes those friends are associated with the behaviors, right? Because they're the ones
Yeah.
that you went out partying with. Uh, and now that's not a healthy thing for you to do.
No, exactly.
So you naturally, it's not uncommon to lose the friends that that were involved with your addiction.
That's
But
so
it's
true.
hard. But it's so hard
It is hard.
um, to let go. Yeah, because they can still be great people and good friends, but it's
For
just
sure.
it's too risky to be around them too much, and that's
Yeah.
where yeah you got to protect yourself and your sobriety.
Yes, and now I've learned that I need to protect my sobriety like I protect my life, and I won't let anybody come into my life that I don't think is a safe space for me. And yeah, I have to protect my peace, protect my energy, and realize that I am worth, you know, uh, being a little selfish sometimes. You have to be selfish when it comes to your sobriety because, my life depends on it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And yeah, and it's worth more than again, sometimes we have to say goodbye to things when we make changes in our life. And there are
That is,
losses with that. Yeah, with
yeah.
any change there's a loss. And I have actually a quick question. You mentioned that you live out by the Fort McMurray, I think.
Yeah.
How do you feel like there's a lot of addictions issues in Fort McMurray, like because of the oil sands, because of the amount of
Right.
money? Like, how do you feel that it really affects the community a lot? Do you know much about that, or
I honestly don't because I feel like Fort McMurray has always been a safe space for me since like
good?
my sister lives here.
Ah,
I've never associated Fort McMurray with like addiction. So I always feel like when I come here and I live here now, it's like I don't even think about drinking, using, whatever. It's not even a thought. I know that it's here, but you know what's it's so weird because once your mindset changes and
hmm
you're not looking for it, it's not there. If I was
right.
actively searching for it, I'm sure it would be everywhere I turn. But it's like it's not even in my wheelhouse. It's not even in my energy. It's not around me. So it's like I don't notice it because I honestly don't let it in. But I'm
Yeah.
sure it is absolutely everywhere you turn, but it doesn't affect me anymore because I don't let it.
And you must have times when you want to use the substance. Like
Yeah,
everybody, how do
I
how do
do.
you cope? Yeah.
I do honestly just it doesn't last for very long.
hmm
For instance, I just thought of it when I was in Edmonton because Edmonton is a big trigger for me, and I
Yeah.
was on my way back from work to come home here to Fort McMurray, and
hmm
for a second I was like, imagine if I drank. And then I just played the tape for like 10 seconds. I was like, number one, I'm going to miss this bus. I'm not going to make it to my doctor's appointment tomorrow, which means I'm not going to get my carpal tunnel surgery, which means I'm
Yeah.
going to disappoint my sister, disappoint the kids. And as soon as it was like that, it was a no brainer. I was like, okay. I was like, how about you just not drink? So
That's
that's exactly
awesome though.
what I,
You're able to go through the process, like the whole,
well,
okay, let's look at the consequences of
before I
this.
would not even look at like I knew the consequences were there, but I just didn't care. But now it's just
Yeah.
like I feel like I came too far. I've learned too much about myself, and I've grown and matured emotionally to realize that, like, you know what, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to possibly go on a bender for almost 3 or 4 months or not make it or just it's not it was fun when it was fun until it wasn't, and
Yeah.
now it's not fun. It's not fun anymore. It's a problem. So yeah, I would rather just come home, get in my bed, and talk to my new TikTok friends.
Exactly. And that's, again, you've built this great community of support,
Yeah,
not just for yourself, but it's somewhere anybody that's struggling can come, that's in your
absolutely.
community and talk to you. And that's amazing.
For sure.
Um, and you've built such a great community doing like with just positivity. And that's what I love is that so many people build communities off of like slamming or anger or
Yeah.
hate or, that kind of stuff. But yours is so positive.
Thank you. I'm glad that you recognize that. I feel like I've created a space that just like that it's so weird because we are all the same. It's like we're a little unhinged, we're all positive, we're funny, we can be serious, we could laugh, we could have
hmm
a good time, but at the end of the day, we're here for each other.
Yeah.
And I think it's about community, it's about connection, it's about love, it's about positivity. It's about raising each other up. We
Yeah.
all have those bad days, but I wanted to create a space that I've never had growing up. That's the whole point I did it is because I wanted a place for people to come that they
Yeah.
don't feel judged. They could say whatever they want, what's on their mind, be
hmm
accepted, feel like they have a safe space. And I'm so glad that I could be that place for a lot of people because I have so many people that will write in my comments and say, I don't ever normally speak out, but like you allow me to like feel seen and feel heard. And I do engage with all of my followers. I engage in all my posts, all my comments, all my lives. And I
Yeah.
feel like my whole account has really been built on the foundation of like love and engagement, acceptance and communication, and that is something that's never going to change. So I feel proud that I've built what I've built.
Yeah, with a nice sprinkling of fun, just some fun
Yeah.
and zany kind of stuff. And you're
Yeah.
singing. You are definitely have a beautiful singing voice.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm still trying to figure out like what it is that like my niche is, but like for right now, I'm just figuring out like what works, what doesn't work,
Yep,
and yeah, just spreading love. That's what it's all about.
awesome. Well, yeah, and just wondering if I have anything. Does anyone have any final thoughts? Healing, did you have anything you wanted to add before I end the live? Because I've got to do my show rundown soon in about 5 minutes.
And your boy got a pee.
Oh, well,
We're almost done.
we don't want to let you sit there any longer, our boy. You better hurry up, go. No, I just want to say that it was quite an interesting episode today.
Yeah,
Um, oh, there you are.
Right.
I
yeah.
really enjoyed it. There were some people on there that I kept saying, Jana, kick them out. Jana, kick them out. But of course, you can't
I,
be
I
looking at everything.
I was gonna say I glance at the comments, but I don't read them all because it takes. I'm ADD. I have ADD too. It takes my
Well,
focus
no,
off of the conversation. Then I'm not listening. And yeah.
absolutely. You need to give one of your moderators the control to kick them out,
Oh,
I
they do.
guess.
They do.
Okay,
Anyway,
good.
yeah.
Good, because I kept seeing them. Anyway, it was a really interesting episode. I just want to say thank you both for sharing your issues and your thoughts on things. None of us have been born without problems. We don't get to be the ages that we are unscathed. We all have issues. There's always something, whether it's in childhood, and there's a lot of people suffering traumas, which is my handle is healing through meditation. Through COVID, I started a meditation group, and I had people from Pennsylvania, of all places, in Montreal joining, and we did meditation, and I had the singing bowls. And one day I hope to do um, sound baths because just for healing, because we all have stuff and we all need to heal. So as
Yep.
long as we're all looking for ways to better ourselves and help ourselves heal, that's amazing. And self-care is important. So
Absolutely, I
Absolutely.
agree.
Awesome.
Thank you so
So,
much for having me. I appreciate the time to be able to
oh,
open up about my past and my present and my future. I'm excited to see where it leads, and yeah, I'm glad that we have connected. I'm so happy.
thank you, and thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate you coming
For
today.
sure.
And I will just close it down. I'm just going to do my spiel about our upcoming shows. So you can stay if you want, but if you want to go, that's okay too. Totally up to you.
Your
Uh,
boy has the
I would
view,
just,
so thank you.
yeah, exactly. So you go ahead. Thank you so much. And going back on the big screen, there we are. So let's talk about the upcoming shows. I'm just going to see if I can put this in my background. So that was a really great conversation that we had, wasn't it? Healing. So I'm going to download this, save image. Just give me a second here. Put it here. Yes. Okay. And change my background for just a second. Reset. And add source. Just going to quickly go through my show list here as soon as it comes up. There we go. Image. Um, and debate me, Ontario. No, not that one. That one. Not that one. It doesn't want to come up. Oh, there it is. It was just hiding. Okay, so let me expand this here and put myself in front. Okay, so here's our show list for the week. We have coming up this afternoon or this evening, Radicalized, hosted by Mr. Radical or Radical, 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Yeah, go follow him. Please follow Zesty. He is awesome. He talks about the gray matter of politics and how religion is impacting the political atmosphere. Saturday or Sunday, we have A Damn Happy Life, 4 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific, 7 to 8 Eastern. And he does a show looking into the deeper perspective on how people define happiness and exploring the moments of growth throughout their lives. On Mondays, we have, of course, Indigenous Matters with Treaty 6 Birder, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 to 10 Eastern Standard Times. And Treaty goes over the effects of politics on Indigenous communities and how Indigenous people can affect the political structure. On Tuesdays, we have News Hour with Frontline Feminist, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern. And that's highlighting the biggest news from the weekend or news you might not be missing, bumping it into the foreground. On Wednesdays, we have The Mossy Side, hosted by Progressive Moose. He goes through the messy side of politics, doing deep dives into weekly topics. On Thursday, we have The Navigation Station, hosted by the Misses, 1 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. Pacific, 4 to 5:30 Eastern Time. And that's education, resources, and solutions to help navigate the Canadian political landscape. Truth Through Discord. Yeah. Oh, bye, Lori. Truth Through Discourse is hosted by Mrs. Radical. I do think that Frontline may be doing that as well. And that's 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. Pacific and 8 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've got on Friday nights, we have Polititalk. We have that with hosted by right now Mrs. Radical, and it's weekly debates, 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Pacific, 8 to 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't think it's that long. I think we've shortened that one down. But we have weekly debates over politics and social issues, focusing on Canada, including the United States. And we do have a couple of new shows. I just don't have the times on this list. I thought I pulled up the new list. So do take a look through. And thank you so much for coming today. I'll just end a few minutes early unless anybody has any final thoughts that they want to talk about. And let's get that. Okay, so let's see here. So I will end the live now. Thank you guys so much for joining. We had an awesome show and really enjoyed our guest. Do go follow Zesty Bestie if you want to follow up on what he does on his chats, which is awesome. Totally not political, which is a nice break to have. Anyway, thanks so much for joining, and we will see you next week.